Hi everyone, Chris and Crowley here from Primac Sports with the first of our NRL weekly previews. So let's delve into week one.
Let's go. Alright, let's jump in. Parramatta versus Brisbane, Thursday night, first game. It's going to be an absolute cracker up there at Pertex Stadium. I think a lot of the Parramatta fans leading up to the game have been dusting off the old VHS tapes of their last Premiership. So I think a lot of them will be hoping with the money spent that they can certainly film a grand final win in today's era. So we'll see how that goes.
If not, they'll always hang on to that Auckland Nines trophy.
Exactly.
Big one in this game, straight up. James Roberts debuting. Big off-season move, obviously, from the Titans. Be interesting to see how he fills that void from Justin Hodges has left.
Yeah, it's going to be a big void to leave. Also there we've noticed that Kieran Foran's in doubt with the hamstring, so that's going to be a big out for Parramatta if they lose Kieran Foran. Such a huge signing in the off-season, and I think a lot of their game plan around him. So that's going to be a big key to how they go.
Certainly throws a lot of pressure on Corey Norman if he's out.
Definitely.
Obviously Parramatta, as we said, they've spent big in the off-season. They've got some other big signings there that are going to take the field for the first time in the blue and gold in an NRL match. You've got Michael Gordon and Michael Jennings in the back line, also Clinton Gutherson, who's come across from Manly. Of course, Beau Scott, who's a strong edge player in the forward pack there.
Yeah. I think although we've got the signings there, even with Kieran Foran possibly playing, personally I really think it's going to be the Broncos, but it could be a tight game.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely the Broncos to get home here. The margins probably decided whether or not Kieran Foran plays, but I still don't think it's going to be a blowout either way. That Eels side looking strong now.
Yep, definitely.
Alright, on to the second game of the weekend. Friday night football. Manly Sea Eagles host the Canterbury Bulldogs in an all-Sydney affair at Brookie Oval. Manly fans got to be getting excited. The chance of buying another premiership. The amount of players they've brought in, I think they've got enough to field 3 or 4 NRL sides.
Yeah, they're good at it. It's going to be interesting to see actually how Dylan Walker goes at 5'8" for the first time in a regular season match. A very custom player, has lots of speed, lots of skill, so it's going to be interesting to see how he fills that void in at 5'8" and whether the other guys can work off him on the outsides.
He's looked good in the trial matches, but we all know regular season NRL football is a very different kettle of fish.
Definitely.
They've also got, obviously, as we alluded to there, the key signings in that starting lineup: Nate Miles, Api Coruscant and Matt Parcell as hooker options, both players named, one on the bench obviously. Marty Tapau, a big late pre-season signing, brought him across from the Tigers, and Lewis Brown as well, really add some starch to that back row, and be interesting to see the impact they make there.
Definitely, and I think for Canterbury it's going to be huge out with Brett Morris, one of the brothers out there, so it's going to be a huge loss to him. I think he really brought a lot of impact to him last year. But Will Hopoate coming in at fullback with Chase Stanley in on the centre, so I don't think they'll lose too much there. I think Hopoate at fresh, while he is fresh, he should be able to bring that ball back with a bit of speed and should hopefully get Canterbury on the front foot.
Certainly both strong players there, Hopoate and Stanley, but none in the ilk of Morris.
Yeah, definitely.
I think with that one, I see Manly winning that one, probably by just more than a converted try. I just think they've got a little bit more punch there, and certainly the reduced interchange will help them out.
Yeah, definitely agree with that one.
Next up, we've got the Raiders hosting the Penrith Panthers, Saturday afternoon football down at GIO Stadium. It's going to be very interesting to see how Trent Merrin's handled the move, whether he's battling away now that he's no longer at the beach with Sally. Must be a tough life there, mate.
Mate, I'd be really struggling. He's known for being the Merrin and doing the Merrin, so yeah, it's going to be tough for him out at West, but we'll see how he goes with that. The other thing to note, one of the key players from last year really stood up, Blake Austin, named on the bench. Obviously trying to nurse him back from the shoulder injury, so it's going to be interesting to see how he comes off the bench and how he fills in with the Canberra run there.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see the combination that Ricky Shield uses him in with Sam Williams and Aiden Caesar, obviously the big signing, and whether or not obviously he plays him in the halves or uses him in the back row or as a hooker change.
Yep, definitely.
Also intrigued to see their new signing, Elliot Whitehead. He's come across in the Super League. A lot of the fans might not be too familiar with him, but outside of the halves in the Super League in the last 2 years, he's led try assists back-to-back years. He's also been in, I think it's the top 5 tacklers in both those seasons, so certainly has the potential, if he can settle in, to make a similar impact to some of their big signings from last year.
Yeah. I think Penrith are going to be looking really good. They've got a good, strong spine. Even with Matty Moylan out this week, I think Will Smith, if he can pick up where he left off last year and play that role at fullback, the roving role that he does so well, I really think the spine of Penrith are something to look forward to this year, as long as they can stay healthy, which is always a drama with them.
Yeah, it's certainly been the drama at Penrith the last couple of years. If they can stay healthy, I mean, anything's possible. Top 8 definitely. If they have those same injury curses the last couple of years, we could be looking at bottom 4.
Yep, definitely. I think for myself, I've gone with Panthers in a close one, just due solely to that spine. I really liked how they went last year, and I think with a bit of freshness to Soward and a few other areas, I think they'll really come out quite well this week.
Yeah, I've gone to the Raiders in a close one. Home ground advantage probably doesn't hurt that I'm a bit of a Raiders tragic as well. So yeah, the green machine for me.
Yeah, definitely. Next up, Saturday night, we've got the West Tigers versus Warriors. Going to be a great game out there. It's interesting to see West Tigers have had to go all around the streets of Campbelltown and Leichhardt trying to find a number 9 to fill in the void. Obviously with a couple of big key signings that are out this week. So it'll be interesting to see how they go there.
Yeah, certainly missing Farah and Ballon there. I'm really intrigued to see the new Warriors spine. Obviously, there's been a lot talked about. Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, Isaac Luke both come in. Sean Johnson, interestingly named at 5'8", with Jeff Robson at halfback. It'll be interesting to see whether or not that just frees him up a little bit to play his, touch football, ad-lib style stuff. Yeah. And also they've got, Lolohea out wide, so it'll be very interesting to see how they perform there.
I think Robson runs that role really well. He did do that for the last few years with the Sharks. He was able to control the game and let the free-flowing 5'8" have a bit of run, so it'll be interesting to see how he goes there. I really think West Tigers, but they're going to be struggling this week. Tedesco, as always, is going to be their shining light, fully fresh, a full pre-season. I think he's just going to be dynamic as he was last year, and I really look forward to watching his runs this week.
Yeah, I agree, but unfortunately those shoulders, mate, they're not meant to carry tall, the guys.
That's it. It gets a bit heavy.
I am on another spot with the Tigers. I'm looking forward to seeing Jordan Rankin return, former Gold Coast Titans player. He spent a couple of years over in the Super League. He was explosive. I mean, he was prone to a few errors, but I mean, they're the sort of players that bring crowds back. Need
those game breakers. So, I think all that aside, I really think we've agreed with this one that the Warriors will be winning it. I think it's a good bet, 13 plus more than likely. If those Kiwis can get on the front foot, it's pretty hard to stop them from there.
I've lent back with the Warriors a little there. I've gone 1-12 just purely based on the fact the Tigers have run well against them the last couple of times I've taken them on at Campbelltown, and hopefully those young guys and the halves, etc., can come out of the gate a little bit well. Next up, we've got the defending premiers North Queensland hosting the Cronulla Sharks. Saturday night football, 1300 Smile Stadium up in Townsville. Cronulla have got to be excited. They've got a good side on the paddock and chasing their first sniff of silverware since 1979.
1979. Been a while. It was. I think it's one of the highest competitions that's ever been won. But if we can outdo that, we'll be pretty happy.
Some of us have got it pretty much equivalent to Nightcliff Dragons winning the Darwin A grade, mate.
Yeah, it is. It's very similar. So
yeah,
it'll be good to see them. Yeah. I'm really excited to watch the Sharks this year. Although I worry every year with the choke. I think the backline they've settled with now is the best backline they can put on the field. With Barber at 1, gives them that roving role. Jack Bird running a real solid centre line, and Valentine Holmes to finish off on the wing. I really think that's the best way they could have gone.
Yeah, certainly. It's intriguing to say there's a lot of conjecture over that number 1 jersey, but obviously Ben Barber's one of Dally M there.
Yep.
It's a great choice if he can get back to 70% or 80% of that form. And the one other is obviously the big signing of James Maloney.
Yeah, big signing. So it'll be interesting to see how he fits in with the mould there, working alongside Chad Townsend. Chad Townsend is a really good Jeff Robson role as well, where he can direct the field across. So I think that gives Maloney a bit of room to move.
Definitely. Maloney's game control and precise kicking certainly going to help set up that room for those ad-lib players to show their wares.
Yeah, definitely.
The big question too, I suppose, the Cowboys have named the exact same 17 players that they played with in last year's grand final, which is the sort of consistency that coaches dream of. And it'll be interesting to see whether or not they can repeat that semi-final performance. I don't know if you remember that one, 38-0.
It was a tough one to watch. I thought we'd go up there and repeat what we did earlier in the year last year. But yeah, Cowboys, to their credit, just came out and from the kickoff just really took it to the Sharks. So be interesting to see how they go.
Yeah, definitely. As you alluded to there, outside of that semi-final, the Sharks have had a pretty good record in Townsville over the years.
Definitely one of the better ones.
I've lent the Cowboys 6-12. I don't think they'll blow it out too much, but I think they'll just sort of have that game in their control. The experience of Thurston, Morgan, Granville, the way they played together last year, I just think they'll just have the Sharks at bay the whole way.
Unfortunately, I'm going to have to lead with the Cowboys as well, as much as it breaks my heart. But I think it'll be a really high-scoring game, a lot of openness. So I think it'll be a few points either way. Next up, we've got the Sydney Roosters against the Rabbitohs up there at Allianz Stadium on Sunday afternoon. Beautiful Sunday afternoon game, rugby at Allianz. It'll be interesting to see how both teams go. Obviously, there's plenty of jokes that could be made about the Roosters, but I think we'd be barking up the wrong tree with that one. Sorry about that, guys.
The Roosters, they're 6s and 7s, literally, mate. Changes all over the park. Obviously, Mitchell Pearce out of action, sitting out the next few weeks at least. Jaden Nikorima steps in. They've lost Maloney as well. Jackson Hastings is there. There's a few others out. Jeremiah Hargraves, Boyd Cordner, two very big name international forwards. It's going to be interesting to see how they step up to that. I mean, they've got guys like Aiden Guerra, Kane Evans in the forwards that can step up, but how those halves perform, if they can carry on the way they played in that World Club Series, will be the telling factor.
Exactly, and it's going to be interesting to see how Souths go. Obviously, Sam Burgess coming back is a big plus, but losing some key players in Walker, Luke and Keary all out. It's just going to be really tough for them to bounce back and get on top of that.
Yeah, definitely. Walker and Luke, big losses to the club. Keary obviously out of action for a couple of weeks, and as you said, Sam Burgess coming back. He did spend a lot of time in the backs in rugby union. It'll be interesting to see if he remembers how to mix it with the big boys. I'm sure it won't take him too long, and if not, George will grab hold of him and show him how it's done.
Yeah, I'm sure he will. So yeah, we got for myself. I think South will still do it. They got some really big game breakers there. I think it'll be a close one, 1-12.
Yeah, I've went the other way. I've gone the Roosters. I was impressed with what I saw from Nikorima and Hastings. They might utilise it to take their opportunity, so I've got the Roosters by the proverbial bee's appendage and scraping home. Next up, we've got the Titans and the Knights. Sunday, 6:30, the new time slot that the NRL's pushing through with. Seabus Super Stadium up there on the Gold Coast. It's got to have been an administrative nightmare, I'd say, for the Knights to get this trip organised. There would have had to have been half a dozen of that side that would have needed parental permission slips to come away. Yeah, they are a very young side. It's a good one there. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the new halves combo works with the Titans. And Ty Roberts playing against his old opposition for the first time, so straight up, straight into it. So it'll be good to see how he goes. Yeah, similar. It'll be interesting to see similar to those guys, Townsend and Robson we talked about earlier, whether Ty can take on that game controlling sort of pattern. Ash Taylor, an exciting young player playing alongside him. And speaking of guys like Ash Taylor, a rookie of his own class, the Knights side is absolutely full of them. 5 guys making their debut for the Knights. The last time the Knights had anywhere near this many debutants was their first game in the competition in 1988. There's some really promising players there in the Safidi brothers. Jalen Feeney, Nathan Brown's got huge reps on him at fullback and he's looked really impressive in the trials. And another Matiatia brother, that's the 4th of the brothers. Yep. They've played NRL, so that's a pretty impressive feat in itself that all 4 brothers have made it to the NRL. Yeah. Unfortunately, I think for Pat it might be a one and only appearance, until Sione's back anyway. Yeah, definitely. Although they've got all those young players, they do have a couple of big name players there. They're going to be able to direct them around. I think Hodkinson, how he's going to fit in there with the Newcastle fold, how he works with Brown. I think he will work well with a lot of juniors there, and he should be able to manage them around and give them that freedom to run. Certainly going to be a lot of expectation there. Both he and Mullen have played State of Origin for New South Wales. Yep. Mullen's been sort of hot and cold over the last few years. I think with not being the big name half anymore, as he was when he came in and debuted, the pressure's now off him a little bit. Expectation on Trent Hodkinson, and maybe that might lead to some gelling and combination, hopefully. A couple of young players to bring his youth back as well, so see how he gets that running game going. See how we go, that's it. I think all that aside, but surely this is just going to be deciding the wooden spoon. It's 2 really lower teams than everyone else. I expect them both to be at the bottom of the ladder towards the end of the year. But I'm going to tip Titans. Just think that the home ground advantage will work for them. Yeah, it's almost a who cares game early in the season, which it's a terrible thing to say. I'd love both these sides to prove me wrong and give it a bit of a shake. The Titans did at the Nines. As you say, the Knights have got youth, which you can never rule out. And just because of that bit of youth factor, I'm just going to back them, the enthusiasm to get them across the line. I'll go the Knights in a close one. Yeah. Finalising the games for the week, we've got Melbourne Storm versus the Dragons on Monday night down there at Melbourne. Not going to be too cold earlier on in the year, so the Dragons should be right there. And it's great to see Russell Packer's Bond
conditions relax for the week so we could get away to Melbourne. So good to see you. Well done.
Wow, that's yes. Well, the big question for me: the return or not of Billy Slater. They've come out in the press this week. They've named him, obviously. They haven't named Cameron Munster, but the latest press is telling us both players are about 50% chances. I think they're going to end up running 1 to 17. I think Slater will play.
Yep,
but for obvious reasons, Craig Bellamy's not going to be prepared to risk him if he's not at least 85%, I wouldn't think.
He is a tough little bloke, but he will play if he can play, and he's shown that in previous years. So.
Yeah, definitely played through injury previously.
And it's also going to be interesting to see how Kurt Mann faces up. He's got the coveted fullback role with Josh Dugan going into the centre, so it's going to be really interesting to see how he goes there. Hopefully he can fill the void there for the Dragons. I think that's their one spot where they're really missing players, is trying to finalise that back line. They've got a really strong forward pack, a great bench, so it'll be interesting to see how Kurt Mann goes there. Hopefully fills that void for him.
Yeah, very interesting. Comes up against his old club, obviously. I think what Mary McGregor's trying to do here is get the ball in Dugan's hands a bit more regularly rather than just that broken field play. I wouldn't be surprised to see Dugan drop back there every now and then, and mix it up a bit and just present different looks for the opposition. The big question for me though, and this is probably the big one of the off-season, Jack de Belin, will he finally get rid of that horrendous man bun?
Yeah, we're all hoping it's terrible. He's one of the few to still maintain it. Surely it's got to be gone. The boys have had to have gotten into him the whole pre-season.
You would have thought so. So for me, this one, the Storm, either way, whether Billy plays or not, whether Cameron plays or not, it's just going to be the margin that changes. I think it'll be a close one if neither of them play. If one of them plays and takes on the fullback role, then I think the Storm will win by a try or more. If both of them manage to take the field, then anything's possible.
I think it really does. They've got a good spine, but if Billy Slater's out, I think they may have that struggle there. I like the Dragons bench. I like the Dragons forward pack. Great halves, so I think they might just scrape in by a really close margin. So it'll be interesting to see how they go.
Oh, well, all in all, exciting. Footy's back tomorrow. Everyone's going to be getting pumped, getting around it. Hopefully we can both chalk wins, the Raiders and the Sharks this weekend. It'll be a great start to the season and get amongst it. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you again next week.
Cheers.